I'm gonna tell you a story about a dead electrician that saved my ass. Maybe should I turn around more?
No, we're good.
You're good. All right. All right. That ass picture, that was Keston's idea. Look at him. So this video is gonna be a little bit different. I'm gonna tell you a story, a true story that really happened that you guys are gonna be able to learn and take a lot of lessons from it. So let's get right into it. So as everybody knows by now, I do a lot of real estate. I do tons of fix and flips. Literally over the last few years, I was buying a home every single day. If you watch that video right here, you'll understand how I did it. However, let's get back into the story. And most of those homes, I fixed and flipped. Well, anyhow, so one of these properties that I bought, I started fix and flipping. And you know what? I don't like pulling permits. I just like do them and hopefully I don't get caught. But anyhow, on this one property, I actually got busted. So I very rarely pull permits to do jobs. Most of the time I don't really have to. Some of the times it's questionable, but you know what? It's just not worth it. Let me tell you something you don't need a permit for. To subscribe, comment, and like this video. You don't need a permit for that, just do it. So on this particular home I'm gonna tell you the story about, I finished the rehab and I was 90% done. And of course, I had a whole bunch of trees in the backyard that I needed to cut down. So I started cutting all the trees down, and one of the neighbors complained about the trees, and a code enforcer came and said, you know what? Forget the trees, that's not a big deal. What is going on inside the house? You did all this work, everything's brand new. You got all this new electrical, plumbing, and everything else. Where are the permits for this? So of course I tell him, well, most of this was already like this when I bought it. You know, I'm just taking it over now. This didn't fly with the guy. He kind of knew I was full of shit. So he came over to me and he said,
you know what? I know that this is brand new, and you need to tell me who did this work. If not, you're gonna get in big trouble. But if you tell me who did this work, I'm gonna let you off the hook and just go after that person.
So now I had a big dilemma. I could either turn my friend in who's been doing work for me for probably almost 20 years and get myself out of trouble, or I need to figure out a way to get us both out of trouble. So at this point, I didn't know exactly what to do, but I knew that I wanted to get it in writing from the code enforcer telling me that if I turn this person in, I'm gonna be off the hook. So that's what I did. He sent me an email, he's like, look, if you just tell me who did this work, I'm gonna be off the hook. I got that in writing, and then the next thing was to figure out how to solve this problem creatively without getting anybody in trouble. So now I started thinking, and literally, I was just in my desk, on my desk, in my office, on my desk, fuck. So now I had to start thinking. I went into my office and I was on my desk, just on the computer, thinking of all these different ideas of how can I get this guy turned in, but not in trouble. Are you still watching this and you haven't subscribed? What the fuck is wrong with you? Subscribe, hit the like button, comment. I need to know that you like this stuff so I can keep making it. And literally, I thought for like 30 minutes. So all of a sudden, something just hit me. Ow, shit. That's funnier, I think. This is what I came up with. I gotta find an electrician that I could turn in that's a real electrician, but that won't get in trouble for turning them in. How can I do that? If you don't wanna become a dead electrician, you better hit that like button and subscribe right now. I gotta find a dead electrician. So the next step was to call my buddy Nitin over here. Hey Nitin, come over here, I got something for you to do.
Abraham, I'm right here. You don't gotta call me.
So Nitin, I need a dead electrician. I just got in trouble with the code enforcer and I have to turn in an electrician to get myself off the hook. And I've been thinking about it for the last 30 minutes and the only thing I could think of is to turn in an electrician that can't get in trouble. And how can they not get in trouble? It's because they're dead. So find me an electrician that died over the last 6-8 months. I'm gonna use that guy to turn in and get everybody off the hook.
When I heard this, I was like, damn, that's smart as fuck, first of all. But second, how the fuck am I going to do that? Like, you can't just like Google dead electrician Atlanta 2020 and like hope that someone pops up. Like, no one's putting that shit in their obituary. So I started thinking, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna try every single different amount of words that I can that would hopefully get some sort of outcome that I could use. So I was like, all right, electrician that died on the job in Atlanta this year, you know, this month. And then I was like, all right, nothing came up, or it was like way too crazy of a story for it to be like believable. And then I was like, all right, dead electrician, Atlanta obituaries. And then no one put that shit in their obituary because it was like, you know, lovely father, husband, son, you know, whatever. But nothing with electrician. So I was like, dang, how am I gonna do this? And so I started thinking of like causes of death. I'm like, I don't want it to be on the job because it's a little bit too like public. Like, it's easy to find someone if it was like in an article. So I was like, all right, what if I started looking at like things that could kill someone in the sense of like a heart attack or a stroke. And I'm like, you know what? COVID is like, was a big deal, you know, it was post-COVID. So I was like, you know what? An electrician that died from COVID. So I found it. I found an article that was like electricians that all died from COVID in Atlanta. And it was like some article that basically was like attributing their deaths to them like continuing to work during the pandemic. And I was like, all right, perfect. It's like actually citing the people. So I started looking up all their companies, and I had a list of probably like 12 to 15 companies within this article. And I started making calls. I call and I'm like, hey, is Joe there? And they're like, oh, unfortunately Joe passed away, but Joe's brother actually still works with the company and we can go ahead and have you do it. And I'm like, damn, no, we can't do that because we don't want to get a company in trouble. Even if the guy's dead, his company's still around, it could be liable for the things that we said that he did. So I start making more calls, same result. There's someone else that can take his place. And I was like, fuck, like, man. And I was getting towards the bottom of the list. And probably around the 11th call, I dialed the phone, and it was something a little bit different than the rest. It didn't feel like a secretary answer. It was like a woman on the other line that was like kind of melancholy. She was like, hello? And I was like, hey, just wanted to see if, you know, whatever name was, is there and could, you know, potentially do a job for me. And she's like,
unfortunately, he's passed recently, and yeah, I'm really just trying to figure out how to get rid of this company here. We're closing.
Goddamn fuck, we should have bought the goddamn company. Then why didn't we think about buying that company?
I didn't think of it. Damn, I just wanted to find a dead electrician.
Oh man, shit. Always missed opportunities.
Get it down, and I'm just dealing with all of it. So unfortunately, I have no one to recommend you or anything like that. I'm like,
oh man, there's no other employees or anybody? Like, I really need this work to be done. She's like,
yeah, I'm sorry. It was just him and him alone.
and I'm like, man, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hang up the phone, I'm like, Abraham, we got the guy. And I'm like, we're excited, but in the back of my head, I'm like, damn, I feel bad, but we found him, so we got the job done, and that was pretty much how I did it.
Yeah. So there's a few lessons to learn from this story. First off, you should always get permits. Nah, don't ever get permits. But another thing that you really should learn from this is that if you're creative enough, you can get out of trouble, you can get out of doing all kinds of different things. On top of that, you gotta be loyal, right? The reason why I wouldn't turn my electrician in is because he's a good friend of mine. I would never turn him in. I'd rather just take the hit, get in trouble, pay my fines, whatever. But I wanted to figure out a way where I didn't have to pay fines and I didn't have to get him in trouble. And the only way to do that was to be creative and come up with a solution that would work. I wouldn't recommend anyone to do it. Oh shit, yeah, fucking do it. Like, just do it, man. Like, what do you have to lose? If you thought this video was cool and different and you want to see more stories of all different things that's happened in my life and lessons that I've learned from them, comment, subscribe, and like this video, and I'll make tons more.